the Y has helper version for Sorrel? Probably not. Probably not. It would be the same with the way it works either. But it would be nice. Probably be called something else anyway. Probably like SR helper. I forgot I was still on this team. That's funny. Yeah, I'm still farming in Rudolin Arena. When I get any decent items from it. I'll do you later. Don't worry about it. Okay. Let's farm it the shit out of this thing. That deer. Remember when I fought this thing all the time with Chingchua? I haven't really played Chingchua that much recently. Probably because she's just too inconsistent for normal play. It's unfortunate. Oink. Long. I really should probably do a new set for Firefly so it makes more sense than this one. I think this was the set I used that took like forever to get to work, and was the one where Firefly barely managed to pass. Pretty sure this is that set. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is my X4 set. Where I just got as many harmony as I could. Didn't really work for my favor, to be honest. Especially because I was still trying to get equations as well. Oh, I finally got the video back again that I wanted to actually look at again. Yeah, the PHAINON is Yukong's savior, which makes sense because he gets to keep the buff the whole time, which is obviously a big win for Yukong, for Yukong players, including myself. The only reason I stopped using her was just because of just how inconsistent she was. But with PHAINON, who cares? I don't need to worry about that at all. I've been liking this Shine Gaming guy for doing comparisons for each character at different levels of play. It's been really cool. Now, I really like there are the 3.4 units F2P friendly, which was showing off EOSO for PHAINON, SABER, Archer, and the Herda, which was really cool. The first one I did was actually EOS1. I thought it was E1 S1, E2 S1, and then finally they just released 5 hours ago E6 S1. Got a lot of broken keel, which I suppose is nice. Wish it was more rooted in arena. It really is specifically just looking for. I'm just looking for a wind damage planar sphere with more crit stats. That's all I'm looking for. And then the same thing for the link rope. It needs to have some crit rate. I'm hoping like maybe 10% each, roughly. Or rather, I think that what I'm looking for was more like 10% between them. Is what I need, and then I just need the last, you know, like, I need the last, everything else to be crit damage. I guess if I get really lucky. See, this is the difference with, between, like, every single game they've had, they've made it slightly easier to do, like, general farming for the base, like, stat stuff, which I think has been really nice. In Genshin, it's still a little annoying, but with the introduction of the craftable stuff, although you can only craft one piece from a set per version, which does suck. But whatever substats you give that item, which you can give two, which doesn't cost anything extra, you will always get. There will always be at least two of those rolls will go into those substats. And by that I mean, like, if you put crit damage and crit rate on a piece, of those 5 rolls that you get total, once every 4 for 20 levels, 2 of those rolls in total will go between those 2 you got, which means you could get 1 of each or 2 into one of them, which is a really nice way to do it, which means you can always guarantee certain sets, which is really nice. In Star Rail, they made it so you can actually craft relics indefinitely with relic remains, which is really, really nice. It means I can consistently get more set stuff. It's just unfortunate the only way you can really get relic remains mainly is by sacrificing 5-star relics, which sucks. So it's really hard to get large numbers of them. But it does allow you to craft, and you can craft an infinite amount of something. And you can get as many of the stats you want, at least main stats, with wish. It's not wishful resin. Whatever the normal one is. And then with wishful resin, you can choose either to get 1 stat for free, which of course requires you to have 1 wishful resin, but it costs 4 to put 2, which sucks, because it's really hard to get large numbers of those as well. And then in Zenless, not only is the crafting process much easier and you get it much earlier, since it doesn't require you to have 5 stars for it, or rather S ranks, you can do it all the way down to the B rank relics, or drive discs. What you can do is, you can still guarantee main stats. You can't guarantee substats though, which sucks. I don't think. Can you? I don't think you can. But the crafting process is much simpler, and every substat, this is the kicker, this is the part that's really good, every substat costs the same, or has the same numbers. Meaning, if you get crit rate, that crit rate substat will always be the same percentage. And every time you gain, it goes into it again, it'll always increase by the same percentage, removing a lot of the RNG from artifact farming, which was the part that really sucked with artifacts and relics, is that everything is, like, not only is the initial roll a percentage, but the rolls of the each time it increases the substat is also a percentage chance of doing certain amounts, which isn't great because sometimes you could just get really unlucky on your on your relics and your artifacts. But in a Zen list that completely takes it out, all it matters is whether it has that substat and how many times it's got into that substat. That's the only thing that matters for the number, which is absolutely fantastic and much easier to predict, which is great. Adding more predictability to it was amazing. So that's why I like drive disc farming for Zenless, because it's so much easier. Like, I saw someone talk about how grindy Zenless is, and I was like, it's really not. Building characters in Zenless is by far the cheapest between any of the games, and by far the quickest. Especially because you only need to get a character up to level 60, which is much less than 80 or 90. But also, the items themselves are much more predictable, because you always get the same amount. It's always the exact same total amount per, like, farming thing. Not to mention, you get free doubles every morning from from the coffee shop. You can even increase your damage for them at the noodle shop, which costs almost nothing. Realistically, other things you're going to be paying your Denny's for throughout the day normally can be paid for that isn't like actual like building, can be farmed through just doing the shop in the morning, the random play in the morning. It's a really well thought out system, and it's so easy to do, especially because most of the stuff that isn't drive discs costs 100 at max level, which is also really easy to get to. Once you get access to using 5 cards at once in the main area, all it costs you is 100, and you get a max of 300. Well, max of 240, but you reach 300 if you're grabbing the double, because it gives you 60 and then gives you an extra double for 1 card, which is really nice. Meaning it takes you 3 things to do it, and realistically, you can defeat those in like 30, 40 seconds each. So you're taking like 2.5 minutes at best. So, you know, and if you've really got it down, like say you're me running my Miyabi against this specific low-level fight, that fight is taking me 10 seconds. So I do 30 seconds. Waiting in between fights is longer than the fights themselves. So it takes me like a minute or so to do all my dailies if I use Miyabi. I don't really usually use her because it's boring, but I can if I'm strapped for time. But even then, I have other characters that can also do those low-level fights really quickly, mainly Hugo. The moment they're in stun range, I just use his ability, he one-shots them, dead, goodbye. But even outside of that, you have characters that can easily win those fights quickly. If you're fighting trash mobs, just throw in Piper. The lower, like, type of mob it is, the quicker they are to stun, or not stun, but the quicker they take anomaly damage, or rather build up their anomaly. So all you have to do is quickly build up the trash mob's anomaly, and since you're using Assault Piper, it's just GG's. The assault damage instantly kills them. And if you're fighting a lot of strong enemies with high health, then you just use a character that does a lot of individual hit damage. Especially if you're doing stuff like the W engine or certificate seals. Generally speaking, just grab a character that has high damage for whatever element is good against them, and boom, you're done. The only time this is hard is with Ether, because they have yet to add a easily accessible Ether character that isn't Nicole, who is arguably the worst character in the entire game. So, you know. Apparently, I think I heard that she's actually decently high on tier lists, apparently, which because I always found her to be absolute garbage. She gives a really short duration defense debuff, but that's pretty much it. That's all she really has. Uh, let's see if anything is in the filter scheme. Nothing shows up in the filter scheme, which is unfortunate, but it doesn't mean we're out of the woods. It doesn't mean we ain't got nothing. All I have to do is do that. You don't tell me you only got one, right? One that's one damage. Spectre damage and flat attack. I'm hopeful. We'll see. Huh. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Boink. Bonk. Okay. If I get rid of that, are you telling me? Only broken keel? Really? Okay. Sure. Uh, does have effect res on? This one does. So keep finding. Interesting. Okay, hold on. What are stats looking like now? Nope. Come on. 74 over 112. Honestly, it's definitely getting better. It's getting better. This set is already been really good for me. Progress is coming smooth. It's like normal. Like it's normal. Do you think this event is finished yet? Is this event finished yet? Oh, it's a permanent event. Like it'll go in here afterwards. I don't know if it's finished yet though. Like if all the stuff's unlocked. I do get an extra self-modeling resin, that's what it's called. I remembered it once I saw it. Ah, that's just about the characters. I don't know if I'm inviting any of them. I mean, there is one character in here that I don't have maxed out yet. There's one character, and that is Anya. Probably not grabbing her. I'm probably going to grab Shui, who I do have maxed out. Before I'm thinking, why would you do that? I need more of this. I'm trying to farm as much of this as I can. It's kind of like an emergency fund. But once this is once I have it maxed out, I'll be going down here and grabbing probably this one, just because it's so good for Japar. The one I have on right now is no slouch for him getting really good stats. But first of all, the other one is 24% red base, which means it's 48% max instead of 32. And then secondly, this one is just 16% extra damage whenever a character on the field with shield. Or more, based on whether or not you have... technically, he can do a max of 7. So that's 28%, which is nice, but not really that helpful for him. He doesn't need more damage, just needs more defense. And maxing that out will mean I get significantly more. I get 24% defense base, which already will increase his defense stat by a pretty decent amount. It's an extra 8%. Plus, if you read the effect, when he's attacked, he gets an extra 24%. So that's a pretty good amount. Plus, he gets an increase in his effect hit rate, which is something I have trouble with getting him on him. I mean, he's got pretty good effect hit rate naturally, but like he needs He needs effect hit rate. He's at 28%, so it's going to go up much higher. Which he needs that, obviously, for skill, if you didn't know. Because he does freezing. Which is a 65% unincreasable base chance. Yeah, it's weird that he gets an increased chance of being attacked, but Blade doesn't until the next update. Which is something that's happening if you didn't know. It's one of the buffs Blade's getting is he's getting a higher chance of being attacked in battle. Like a natural passive taunt. It's so good. Like he needed that really badly because I actually had trouble getting him being attacked on my alt account. Anyway, I think that's all I have for now. Oh. Unfortunately, did not get any link ropes, but I did get a better. I did get a better um, planar ornament, planar sphere. I want to test what his damage looks like right now, just to see what I can expect from my my future. Just doing here. I want to see what I can expect from my future um, Saber. Attack boost, basic attack boost. Actually, hold on. I want to try that. Hold on. I'm going to try that with full energy. This is not going to be an accurate representation because Sampo's scaling is significantly worse. It's not terrible, but it is worse. Not to mention, he's not got that good a trace level. Oh, it's not terrible. His ult's pretty high, but... Oh yeah, I remember. I was like, why did I upgrade him again? I forgot that I had used him for Acheron for a while. So I got Welt. It was just him, but slightly better. Slow is more useful than Wind Shear. Yeah, he should do at least some damage, but he's not meant to do high damage with crit and everything. But this will at least be a showing. Hold on. Let me do this now for a more accurate damage test. Because this thing gives more damage and has better stats. And an effect that I can actually utilize. Because he can't use the destruction set. Obviously. Yeah, Yukon Expel is one of my favorite techniques in the entire game. Let me do this. I do this, and then this. This should increase his stats by a good amount. I want to see just how much damage this does as well. Haven't done this in a while. Nice. Okay. 98.7 over 200. Guaranteed crit, by the way. Holy shit. Let's see how much damage this ult does. Oh! He's hitting 70 KOs on his own? I am excited to see. I am excited to see where this goes. Holy shit. I cannot wait to see the final damage when I get a Saber. I'm so excited to be able to finally play the game. Obviously, I have strong characters, but this will be the first time I've had a strong character that I can actually utilize. Also, this is still one of my favorite probably my favorite technique in the entire game, because it's so useful for general exploration, and it just looks cool. This is awesome. I love Yukon. She's probably one of my favorite designs as well. I like that her tail is a different color from her actual hair. Like her hair is a nice, like, marine blue green, and then a nice like really light blue with darker blue tips on her tail. I love her design and her story. Like a lot of the 4 stars have ridiculously good stories, and I just feel like that isn't talked about enough. Like, holy crap, we have. Let me go for the 4 stars with like really cool stories. Obviously, this Don Hung, but I don't think he really counts when the Piper de Lune is right there. But like, we have characters like Sir Fall, we have Asta, Arlen, Pela, Natasha. A lot of these characters that you get companion missions for early on, which I don't think we've had companion missions for a long while. I wish we had those again. Um, like when you get to like meet and see a lot of these characters' stories, which characters don't have an actual companion mission of their own? Donald and March have a few. Arlen has one. Asta has one. Herta technically doesn't, but that's what the simulated universe is for. Serval does. Natasha does. Pela's is one of my absolute favorites because it's more of like a link. It's more of a Lynx one, but Pela's involved in it, and it's so good. I love it. Tingen does not get one, but that's because she dies shortly after we meet her. Quote unquote dies, and she becomes feud, which then just means it doesn't count anymore. Uh, Chinchua, I don't believe she has one, but in the few other quests she's involved in, she's surprisingly emotional, which I don't think people notice. Luca has a really good one. This is obviously the same as Pela's. Hook has a few, has like an entire quest line, and it's really good. Sampo has a few that he's involved in, but we still don't know enough about him, especially because he's a member of the Max Fools, which we're really interested to see the future. Sushong doesn't have one, because hers is technically Gwenifen's. Yukong has one that's really good. Shui does not have one, but she does have a lot of story you can look into, especially if you look at stuff both Hanya and Shui. Moza does not have one, and neither Gallagher or Misha have one because they technically quote unquote die because uh, being of the Enigmata and a technically not real. They're both only exist in Penacony, and one of which is technically just he's literally the watchmaker. And Gallagher is technically never existed to begin with. He existed for the sole purpose of guiding the future Astral Express. Other 4-star characters, just none of those exist. There's quite a few 4-star characters when you look at it. So there's 6, 12, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. There are 22 4-stars in the game, which is a decent number. Anyways, a lot of the 4-stars have really good stories. I just wanted to talk about that. They're really good. Yukong's is one of my absolute favorites. Pela is my absolute favorite 4-star in terms of story. Not really gameplay, though. She's really boring. Okay, now I go. Then end the recording. Now that I'm done rambling. I love my rambles. Really excited to see Sampo's damage in the future. Well, Saber's damage from Sampo. I'm going to keep testing with Sampo just to see how much damage it does. Especially with a character like Yukong, who can realistically get characters to have unbelievably high crit abilities because she has the best crit rate increases in the game. So if you ever want to speedrun character to end fights extremely quickly, Yukong's your girl. And then characters like pretty much any character that can do high levels of damage. I'd recommend for anyone who wants to play this game, especially early on. Of the characters in this list right here, I'd actually recommend Welt or Himiko from the like from the standard characters. I'd recommend Himiko or Welt because both their alts can do lots of damage. There are other characters in the standard banner now though too that could work. Actually, no, I disagree. Sela is strong, but she's not like speed run strong. You know what I mean? Because the problem is she's single target. Not great. I'll be honest. Single target's horrible for stuff like that. Blade though, Blade is a character I'd recommend for that because he's actually a really good speedrun character. I found. All of his good moves are multi-hit, and pretty much all the moves you'll be using anyways are multi-hit. Plus, all he wants to do is get hit, so he gets hit, so he just instantly uses his ability. Especially if you have Hyacinth with her signature light cone, or rather, any Remembrance character with a signature light cone works really well. You could technically turn any character into a Blade support with her signature. Um, Other characters that aren't like that, though, characters that can really easily do speedruns of this game could definitely be Liu, Barbara Lune, Yunli. Acheron's definitely not. The Herda with her ult, Firefly with her technique. Other characters down in the 4-star list, though, like I said, Yukong is really good because she has really good stat increases. You can also do, I believe, let me see here. Sampo is surprisingly good. Herda's really good for a 4-star unit. Xingqiu is honestly pretty good as well, as long as you're willing to accept her inconsistency. Seeing here, Fei Xiao is probably the only hunt I'd recommend using for that type of stuff, because generally speaking, the hunt is very slow at defeating large numbers of opponents, because it's the hunt. They're single target, and their single target characters. Jing Yuan, of course. Any Erudition character realistically can be really helpful for that, especially characters like Jade or Tribby, who have multi-hit basic attacks. It's really good. Rap, I think, is pretty good. Casteress, obviously, but that's just because she's broken as fuck. And then Aventuring, I guess, would help. But, I mean, realistically, if you're speedrunning, you're not worrying too much about your overall sustain. Anyways. Once again, I started rambling. I'm going to stop now. Spent most of that half an hour just rambling.